Hello, my dear friends. It's Josie, and welcome to this webinar. It's 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'm here and I'm welcoming you as more and more people are joining in. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. And I know that many of you are drawn here by the nature, the topic that we will be talking about today, the earth. We'll talk about in depth the changes that are happening. Now, I also have the chat open. Please use it mindfully. Please use it with consideration. When we're doing practices, please stay present. Avoid typing and connect with your own source of wisdom. That's what I always say. Every piece of information is there for you, but you also have your inner wisdom. So I encourage you to use the chat, the communication systems wisely, attentively, with respect, and also have fun, because we are here to have fun. Now, let me just check my settings. We are good to go. Hello, Paul. How can you see me? How can you hear me? Just give me a thumbs up. For technical aspects of today's webinar. Hey, Daniela, thumbs up. Marie, great. Super. Wonderful. So we are going to get started. Perfect. This is going to be a very intense, information-heavy webinar. And I do this after, doing so much research for the last couple of months. If you follow me on YouTube, or you follow my, if you are in my inner circle, if you have been communicating with me one way or another, you know that for the last couple of months, I have personally changed. I have changed energetically. And also this couple of months, I've been diving deep into my communication with angels. And what you see on the surface is just, again, the sort of the cream of the information that I'm able to collect. But the inner work is still happening. So what is going to happen in this webinar, I will give you the information that I have been receiving for the last 2 months from, what do you call them? Angels, higher beings. I trust these sources. I have been working with these sources. You call them angels, I call them angels, for the last 5 years, very, very closely. I have received so much information that was validated in most unique and interesting way. And I've grown to know them. I know who they are. I know how they sound like, how they feel like. I know their purpose for us human beings on this planet. I also know the changes that are happening. Angels are concerned. I also trust that angels know so much more about us human beings here. And where else can I go to look for the information? Every human being is looking at the world through his or her own lens, through his or her own perception. But angels see things differently. They don't have emotional connection, just like we human beings do. Right? We're attached to our parents, to our stories, to our identities. Angels don't have that. So it's easier for them to communicate with us. And sometimes they give us the information that is very loving, that is very heart-opening. And sometimes they will tell you, no, these changes are not going to help you. These changes, if you don't understand, if you don't put yourself in a certain alignment, you will get hurt. The information that you are receiving is not serving you. So I love this aspect of my communication with angels, because they're loving. At the same time, they're detached. They don't have personal interest for us there's no gain for them. So we are asking angels about the earth. And for the last couple of months, I received tons of information. So let me tell you first that I am just like you. I'm a soul seeker. I am trying to figure out a lot of things about my own personal life. And I can only share with you what I know to be true for myself. And you make your own judgments, you make your own decisions, you make your own statements. You reconcile this information within yourself based on your own life experiences, based on your own upbringing, based on your education, based on your worldview. So take this information in whatever way it chooses to come. There's no obligation, there is no heaviness, and there's no lightness. This information is just there for you. What you want to do with this information is up to you. So we'll do a very healing practice at the end of this webinar, and I also will take your questions. So based on what I know, based on all the pieces of information that I have received about technology, about the future of the earth, about the artificial intelligence, the 5G, the 6G, all of these questions, we'll get to them at the end of this webinar. So we'll have fun. And this time, I would like you to just take a moment so we connect with each other. It's about 5 minutes after 1, and I see quite a few people. I welcome you guys. So remember, you are here, you're bringing your own presence, and you're also bringing your own energy. And it's important that this energy is driven by love. This is a loving energy, so it serves the whole. And for us to communicate better, for us to have better connection, let's close our eyes just for a moment and then connect with your inner wisdom, connect with your heart, and breathe into your heart. Visualize light energy in your heart. And just breathe, take a moment, reconnect with that center of God, connection, your soul, your loving presence in your heart. And let go of everything that is stopping you from breathing, from feeling light, from not experiencing life fully with joy and enthusiasm. Let it go. Just release. Take a few deep breaths, and they're clearing breaths. Releasing. Visualize yourself surrounded by the blue light energy. And blue light is your attunement to higher frequencies right now as we are going through these challenges, as we are changing our energy, as we are being drawn into different dimension of space, of feelings and emotions. We feel better. We are tuning with higher frequencies, and the information that is coming through is only there to serve us. So take a breath, breathe in and breathe out. Disconnect, bring your awareness back, and welcome. We are ready. So just to give you a little energetic kickstart to this meeting, you will feel this instant rush of energy right now going through your body. That's good. We are using this collective flow of energy and of our own thoughts and feelings, and we are creating this strong circle of love and higher vibrational states for all of us. That's important for us to receive this information in the most healing and loving way. So, my friends, the simple plan for today, let's do the presentation. I will familiarize you with information from angels. We'll take it from there. We'll do the practice at the end of this webinar, and then I'll take your questions. Everything you need to know, you'll get your answers today. For some of you, some information may look a little uncomfortable, a little maybe scary. So what I can tell you is, use your own pace. Use your own judgment. There is no rush in this information. can be very emotionally heavy for you, or emotionally sort of distance, you just don't understand it, it's okay. So I was told by the angels about 20% of you are ready to receive this as this information is coming through. Many of you will take time to really absorb it and put it in your own perspective. And for some of you, this information will make absolutely no sense. So it's all good. It's all based on the stuff that you are experiencing in your own life right now. So let's talk about Earth, our beautiful planet Earth, which I love so much. I love Earth. I've traveled the world. I've seen the most beautiful places in the world. I feel that strong connection with the source. My body is a piece of Earth, and I absolutely appreciate that magic that Earth is able to create out of the elements, out of all kinds of forces, the inner forces, the outer forces, the moon, and then the sun. And we are so blessed and lucky to live here on Earth in times of changes. However, this is not everybody's perspective. And what my perspective allows me to see certain angles that not many people can see. And that's why we're having this conversation. So let's talk about Earth in general. What is the history of the Earth and where the Earth is going? That's, for a lot of people, the information is not new, but let's just put it together. So as far as we know, the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. Comparing to the universe, it's almost like 1/3 the time of the universal existence. And the universe itself is 13.8 billion years. Now we're talking about the numbers that are just so outrageous and they don't even make sense to us. A billion years, how much is a billion? How much is a 24-hour a day? So we come here, we don't even think about it, because for us, Earth is not the past or the future, is where we are right now. So we also know that it took about 1 billion years, 1 billion plus years, for the Earth to go from this hot formation, cooling down, and then becoming life, the possibility of life to be formed on the planet. It took about 1 billion years. So we have the evidence, again, the scientific evidence, that it took literally billions and billions of years for Earth to come into a certain form, a certain density, a certain possibility, and then it was slowly populated by life, starting from the smallest particles and then moving into us as we see in the world today, us human beings being the highest form of intelligence on planet Earth. Now, we also know that Earth have experienced at least, that's what we know, 5 mass extinctions. Human beings, whatever the prehistoric human beings came to this planet, they eventually kind of disappeared, and then nobody knows where they are and what happened. There are many speculations. And we also know that in about 1 billion years, again, the Earth will not be appropriate for life. The sun will get hotter. Certain changes are always happening. And this is the evolution of universe. This is the out of our control. This is the world that we are living in. And this is only the tiniest speck of information that we have. What created the universe? No one knows. We still don't know where we come from. We don't have answers to our basic questions. But we know that at least the universe existed for at least, 9 billion years before Earth was created. So would that be feasible to assume the creation of the intelligence beyond just our human understanding? Listen, the recent historic activity of human beings, human race, the way that we know the Homo sapiens, right? The intelligent human beings, they only been around for 200,000 years. 200,000 years. That's just like this. It's a moment compared to overall history of the earth. And we also, this is just a fun fact that we want to consider, and this will be helpful for us as we are moving towards the next phases of this webinar, that the population of this planet have grown, listen, from 1950, post-war, from 2 billion in almost 150 years to 10 billion. So far, we have about 7.8, and that's 2020. By 2100, we'll have 10 billion people. Earth has never had so many people here. Why? There is a reason, and you are part of this extraordinary time. It may be time of uncertainty, and most sort of the fluctuations of events is so major. And for most of us, we feel out of sync. We can't keep up with these changes. But that's why we have so many people. So we can help the earth as it's traveling through its own course, through its own evolution. We are here to help this planet and beings who created this planet. And we'll talk about it as well. We're here to contribute our energy. We're here to contribute our intelligence. And always remember that you are the divinity, you're the piece of God. You are the human being, is the creation of the divinity, and you were created in the image of God. But this is the fundamental truth that for us to hold on to as we are moving through these changes based on your own belief system. So let's look at our favorite history of human beings, the Homo sapiens. Going from here, from primitive life. Imagine, just think about it for a second. Being completely nature-based, survival-based, to look at New York City, to major transformation. It's not just transformation of human beings, and they're much more closed, and then they have cell phones now, they can drive their cars and don't have to go and hunt their own food. It's the transformation that has been happening on planet Earth for the last 200,000 years. Listen, the Earth is 3.8 billion years. There have been at least 5 mass extinctions. All life disappeared. According to scientists, 95% of animal life from the beginning of time is gone. It's only 5% of all animals that we see, all the life as we know it, the species of animals, birds, of microorganisms. Now, comparing to the times of the past, right? The very primitive life. How much change has the earth experienced? Unbelievable. It's beyond even our understanding. And most of these changes happened within the last 300, 400 years. Say since the beginning, now the science as the new stream of knowledge coming through. Now we're becoming more and more technically oriented. We become more structural. We are receiving insights. We are creating the world. Now, when you look at the picture of the New York City and you ask yourself, where did this come from? How someone who living in the cage in only blink of just a speck of time, was a second ago, 200,000 years ago, was just like yesterday. What happened when we went from here to here? How this transformation of consciousness has been happening. And you understand that it's not even within your possibility to understand. These changes are happening on the level of the consciousness that we still cannot describe. that we still have a very vague idea on what is driving human beings, what is driving this earth to creation. So I ask angels, this is my sort of purpose, is to connect with angels and ask these sorts of questions. I'm not specifically asking about, I don't ask these questions anymore. I think I want to take this opportunity and learn from them as much as I can. So I ask, why this was created and then why that was created. And the information that I receive, I don't understand everything. I don't even want to understand everything, but at least it gives me a perspective to better understand Earth and to better understand human beings. Now, what angels are saying, that this Earth is an experiment. This Earth, the whole existence of planet Earth, it's kind of like an experiment. Beings who've lived way before this Earth even began to form. Remember, it's within 200,000 years, we went from caves to building spacecrafts that take you to other planets. Imagine other beings who were here since the first billion years or first 10 billion years. How much more advanced they are in their understanding of reality, of energy. So what angels say, and for many of you, this may kind of conflict with your own worldview, and that's okay, that we are actually, this whole Earth, from the beginning of time, was created by the low frequency structures. And there's so much talk about the conspiracy theories, and there's so much talk about, the cabal, the elite. I don't subscribe to conspiracies, and I seek to understand before I can put my judgment upon anything. So, but angels agree that this Earth is a genetic kind of experiment, that we were put here 200 years ago with kind of like experimenting with human life. Few times these attempts were more or less successful, and the last human experiment, as far as we know, this is that 200,000 years, and it's doing its job, which you call, and you may have your own different perspective on this, that the Earth itself is a low frequency planet. It's a low frequency planet, as this was created as a low frequency planet. Human beings coming to Earth, having this spark of divinity in them, have a higher intellect, have higher creative power, have higher creative potential. So the Earth is creating all of that. New York City, what you see was every bit of it was created through human beings by human hands. Every bit of this, the whole evolution, as far as we see, was the transmission of energy that was coming through human beings. And the entities or ruling powers of the Earth, they're the creators of all structures as we know it. The purpose of the low frequency organizations is to support life on Earth. So why, for example, why animals, why we have such mass extinction of animal life on Earth? Because fundamentally, life on Earth, the energy of the Earth is low frequency. Nature can thrive in low frequencies only. In a higher frequency vibration, it cannot thrive. It's too much for the vegetation of the Earth to be exposed to higher vibrational state. Human body is, again, it's a lower vibrational situation, is something that you have inherited by default by Mother Earth. And you observe the extinction of animals as well. They say that fish will be disappearing slowly from the oceans by 2050. that has nothing to do with human life. And this may sound strange to you. It's like, are you kidding, Josie? It's all polluted and everything else. This is earth. Everything that's of the earth belongs to the earth. It's not that we are polluting it with some external, extra spatial elements. So it's all here and it's all earth. What happens is that elevation of frequencies makes life on earth almost impossible. So as the earth was moving through these energetic shifts, the nature, remember, nature is thriving at the low frequencies. If all human life disappears from the planet, this is also the scientific fact. If all life disappears from planet Earth, and I'm talking about human beings mostly, they're the agents through which Earth is able to change its frequency. So what happens? The Earth frequency goes down, and then vegetation begins to grow again. And without human beings, the nature will begin to thrive. But us as human beings, that's how we contribute to the changes that are happening on this planet. And they may look like they are tragic changes. They may be unfortunate that you have to see in your day and age that certain species of animals. I cried when there was a picture of, the last rhino. There was like white rhino male who last one on Earth. And it was old rhino, and they've made this story about him, and the whole world watched this animal just die, and then saying goodbye to all these beautiful species that lived on Earth for thousands of years. And I cried. It just really hurt me. At the same time, we understand, looking at the history, looking at the transformation of consciousness. This is what happens when the Earth is moving from lower frequency to other frequencies. And Earth evolution, so you guys understand, it's not a linear process. Okay, it's not kind of like point A to point B moving. It actually goes in spiral. It just goes into a very different level, and sometimes it goes quite suddenly. And that's why we follow these changes at a certain point until we begin to see differences, noticeable differences in the Earth formation, in our own energy, in transformation, in technology. We see these changes happening. And it's because the Earth is moving in spiral. This is the part of that evolutional processes. So this Earth is ruled by the low frequency energies. They have to keep this Earth at a low frequency. That was originally designed that way. People who are just not, let me tell you this, there are not people. For many of you who believe that, elite families, elite groups, they are the cabal, the devil worshippers, money-driven people. They're not even people, so you understand. It's way beyond that. And their focus is mostly energy. They're not interested in power or money, for that matter. But they also have a lot of control situation that is happening now on Earth, and you will see it consistently. Not just today, you will see it more and more and more. It's going to be more and more difficult to manage the resources of this Earth, as this group has always been sort of planning their activities. Everything that you see was created. Infrastructures, money, the whole concept of money, that's an elite concept. You look at religions, all the religions, that is the creation of the low frequency elite structures and organizations. You will look into whole infrastructure of the Earth as you see it. And this is the contribution of the low frequency elite subdivisions of this family. Now, they have been here since almost the beginning. They made this life possible. They made human life, animal life possible. And what angels are saying, now this is all an experiment. This is all just a change that is happening. Many souls coming into Earth. And this is another thing I want to talk about today, because many of us feel like, oh, we wanted to be here. Now, first thing you learn about coming to Earth, that it's not a vacation. If you look at the news, you realize, why would anybody want to come here with all the level of negativity and all the level, look at all these wars and all the crimes. And of course, nature of this human nature is to look at the world with compassion, to look at the world with sympathy, and to look at the world from a point of our humanity and why so many bad things are happening. So first of all, you understand that this is the low frequency planet. And the ruling forces, so say the elite forces, they're not sort of doing things here out of their own personal control. It's like they do whatever they want to do. They do what they're supposed to do. They're also here because they were assigned to build this planet one way or another. That's how they built it. We're born here as some source of energy and information, and we're here, most of us, because of karmic implications. Many human beings coming here on Earth, we are here because we had nowhere else to go. We've chosen the Earth as you have unlimited number of possibilities. So coming here on Earth was a very difficult lesson. And you agreed because 100-year lifetime is absolutely nothing comparing to eternity and all other possibilities. So you understand that Earth was not a vacation for you in the first place. So what do you do now? Remember, you are God. You were created in God's image, and the power within you is absolutely, it's that divine force. That is the creator of the stars and the galaxies and everything else. But you have to understand that forces that have been ruling the earth up to this point make life possible. And a rise in frequency is going to affect life as you know it. You will see animals disappearing. You will see species of plants disappearing. You'll see natures talking to people. You'll see all these kinds of events happening in your lifetime. So you also have, and this is what angels want you to know, it's not that you are under manipulation and control of these low frequency forces. So even these low frequency forces are being watched over by other entities in other dimensions. So it's almost like it's that level of dimensions. There are forces that are above the elite organizations. There are forces who are watching them. And that's why we still have Earth. And that's why it's still growing, because we have the elite forces, but we also have the organizations and alliances of, well, you call them angels, you call them all kinds of other forces that are helping us to make sure that it's all going according to the divine plan. And everything in the world, everything in the universe, understand this, that is part of the divine plan. As much as God is experimenting with the world of angels, and God is experimenting with the world of human beings. So as much as we want to say, well, I'm here because I wanted to have this life, and then I'm looking for my twin flame and my relationship. When it comes to just a fundamental reason why you're here on Earth, you have been almost sanctioned to be here. And as you know, for many of you coming to the Earth, it's kind of like learning about hell and heaven. So the karma itself is the law of cause and effect. It's not the punishment. Please understand, it's not a punishment, it's a consequence. So you also hear, many of you, especially newer humans, you come here because of the curiosity. It's like, I want to be part of this. This is interesting. I want to experience, these new changes. There are viruses are going to be happening. There are going to be artificial intelligence. There are going to be, so all of these major changes. So many of you, again, it depends on the stories. And I working, with thousands of people. I can tell you that I know people who come here because of the karma, and I know people who come here because they're voluntarily decided to join this creation of the new world, of the new earth. So regardless of why you're here, remember, you were born into hell. So originally you were born into hell out of human body, human mother. And as much as we want to be loved, as much as we want to be connected to other human beings, we also know that most of our mothers were not 100% the perfect parents, or the way that would really help us human beings to be the most loving, most accepting. Then it's about 90% people are born into families where there's a lot of heavy stories, there are a lot of heavy emotions and trauma, personal trauma. Now that's hell. It doesn't matter what you want to call it. It's not heaven. But we are given a chance, for all of us human beings without exceptions, and angels really want you to understand this. So you have an opportunity to create heaven while you are born into these hellish, unpleasant circumstances. And yes, if you look at the history of the world, you understand that low frequency vibrations, vibrations of fear, they are dominating on planet Earth. So by the power that you have, you are transmuting, you are literally changing your internal blueprints, your paradigms, your systems. You are changing the past, and you are the composition of all human beings lived there before you, who contributed to creation of your human body through DNA, through just the whole, millions and millions of years of creation of the DNA and making life possible for you. You're carrying a piece of that. And as a result, you are holding the piece of that, the whole of humanity living through its own trauma as it's been happening on Earth. Catastrophes, wars, life-threatening conditions, death. Now you understand that you are holding within yourself all of that connection to the experiences of humanity, because you are human. That's the only reason we have these connections with them. It's a human to human connection. And you also understand that the structures set up in this world, they're designed to keep you in a low frequency, to keep you in a state of fear, to keep you in a state of worry, to keep you in a state of judgments and holding on to the old traditions, dogma, conservative thinking, me versus them reality. I'm here because I'm superior, I'm inferior to everybody else, so I am this, I'm that. So separation, that's the low frequency system based life. And you are born into this life. At the same time, you have the power to transmute. It's not that you have to do something to become someone else. You are putting yourself in the state of divinity. And for you to know that God itself, God is a possibility. God is everything in possibility. So God can create earth, God can create universe here and universe there, so it's all possibility. But once they are created, there are operational systems and laws that make that life and evolution possible. So within you have the operational system to turn all of that hell conditions into heaven, and you can create your own heaven. And you see this, spiritual teachers all speak about this. All since the beginning of time, the consciously oriented people, they have been teaching this, that you have the power to release the suffering, and you have the power to create amazing energy within you. You have that power. So understanding that, what is it, in what state I can put myself into, what energy I can generate within myself that helps me to elevate, to be out of these programs, to be on the frequency that makes all the operational systems, so the operational systems that are prominent on Earth as it's moving through the transition, in what state I can create. And this is the state of love. This is the state where you and God are one. And God is that love. You heard God is love. It's the vibrational state where you are not operated, when you're not influenced on the emotional level by the set of frequencies, by the set up systems that are your family, that are your schools, that are your social media, that are media in general, that the news that you're watching and everything else, that you become detached. And because you have generated within yourself a different state, now you are in the process of creating your own heaven, which means that you begin to enjoy the experience of life. Amongst the trauma, amongst the crisis, amongst all the other negative things that are happening, somehow you find yourself in a very different state where you internally feel good. You feel good. You feel okay. You feel okay with your circumstances. You feel okay. You're not afraid. You're not afraid to die. You're not afraid to live 2,000 years if you have to. It's, you come to the point in your life when you have less attachments to these systems and they're not driving you anymore. So that is a topic for different conversation. But we have certain energies that we control. Now, I do believe, and let me repeat that, from what I have learned from angels, it doesn't matter where or how you were born. You are already here, and you need to understand the fundamental movement of energy and how this whole thing, operation things work, and becoming consciously aware of where you are in the relationship to the world. What is your inner state? How you can generate energy within you for your own well-being, for your own health, for your own growth. Then you begin to make better choices, beginning to think and understand and relate to the world slightly differently. So what is the difference between low frequency versus high frequency? So a lot of you think that low frequency means feeling bad, well, nature is low frequency, must be feeling bad. It's not at all. We are low frequency beings. We are we have physical beings, we dense. We already operating in the lower frequencies. Our spirit, the essence, when this body is done, you are automatically shifted into higher vibrational frequency. And the feelings with, again, thousands of spirits that I've connected to over the years, I know that the vibrational state of another world, another dimension, is love. So we're born into the hellish conditions for us returning into that state of love from generating within ourselves, regardless of what's happening in the world, regardless of all the trauma, regardless of all the painful circumstances in the coronavirus and then unemployment and all the other economical collapses here and there and political debates and the possibility. It's all have been there before. This is the flow of events on Earth. Now you can be part of that negative flow, the low frequency, or you can still be within this world. It's not, you're not ascending in the physical body, you're still within that density. So, but your internal state changes. And what happens, the difference for you to understand the difference between low frequency and high frequency, that's the way angels describe this to me. And I'm not a specialist on physics, so I'm not aiming to be the teacher on the subject. But as far as I understand, what angels describe is that low frequency is your ability to process information. Just think of a very basic computer and how the processor of information on that computer. very slow, right? And it's because it can only process very limited information. That's the low frequency, device. And now, as you see why we have so much invention, like so many people are creating new technology, why we have such huge progress within just 100 years. We've seen so much change because information has been downloaded onto Earth the way it has never been before. And that's why we have so many people, because we need these processing devices to be able to receive information. So high frequency computer is the computer that is able to process information fast. Imagine your very top, the most recent computer that can just within seconds make a very difficult combination or do a very difficult task. You don't have to wait for it. You don't have to, and it's because you can also put much more into this computer. So you have more memory, the stronger and faster processor. So Earth is kind of like that as well. So higher frequency, it means that we are now in the position where Earth is shifting, Earth is moving, Earth is alive. Earth is an active creation. It's never the same. And, it's only here for about, 5 billion years, 6 billion years. Eventually, sun is going to be this giant, a super red giant, expand and then push the Earth out of its orbit, and then it's going to just eventually stop existing the way that we know it. Our planet won't even be there. So Earth has its own limited time within this cosmos. So it's moving through its own evolution. And in order for it to move through these new structures, to receive new information, is to, again, use more resources, use more people as channels of energy, as the creators and builders of the new world. And of course, now we see even more catastrophic events happening on Earth in terms of nature and the climates and everything else. This is just the result of lowering or rising the frequency of this planet. So what are we going to do in the future? How is this going to help us or not help us in terms of us human beings? And of course, listen, I'm a human being, and I have my children, and I want them to be happy and thriving the way that I've seen my parents, or I've seen, not that my parents, I'll take that back, maybe. I just want my children to have the best life possible on Earth, but also I want whole humanity to move into the state where we can, hold hands together and be this one big family. Well, based on what we understand, this kind of is happening in a very different way. So understanding these changes will help you to connect to other people in a much better way, and understanding that we are all here. Again, we're the species. We're here to build ourselves, to build this planet. We are created with that love in our hearts, and we can generate that love so we can bring more of that energy. So what we know in the future, that planet Earth will not be using sources of energy as we know it. Right now, the whole Earth idea is all about, creating electricity. It's about pretty much building Earth through using its own resources, fossil fuels, solar energy within the means that we have. We're still very, very primitive. There are dimensions, there are beings who admit, even to us, that we are just in its infancy. The Earth is in its infancy, and very soon, sooner than we think, we will begin to utilize cosmic sources of energy, such as dark energy. I don't know what the hell is the dark energy. Ether, So we will be using these sources in dark matter. So the whole galaxy and then higher evolved beings, they were using completely different sources of energy. We're still sort of trial and error. So right now, Earth is pretty much electric. It's an electric experiment. Everything you see is generation of the electricity, creating matter. Your body is this electric station, your brain, your heart. Now, these are all electric devices. No electricity, no life. For all of us, human beings are just constantly generating electricity. What we know is in these other sources of energy, there's no electricity the way that we can use it right now on Earth. We just don't know how. But within the next 200 years, we begin to use sources like dark energy and convert it and then use it as a building force for this planet. So we need it because in order for us to make bigger changes, we need more information. We need more understanding of how things work. We need to have higher, just more potent energy sources. And the new humans will be capable of extracting these sources. Right now, what we know is that through the buildings, everything else that is built by the elite group and through the alliance, we know that it's all very earth bounded. It's all very useful. The resources have been used strategically from what we have here on Earth. And we've mastered it. We have been really successful. But in order for us to evolve as we're happening, in order for us to have this much more efficient technology, we're understanding now the new sources of energy. So if you ask me what the dark energy or dark matter is, I have no idea. But I know that we will find out in this lifetime, I'm pretty sure. So what's happening now with human brains and how we are going to be affected? So as the information is being downloaded upon the earth, it's this constant stream of information that we need in order for us to go from where we are to being this cosmic, galactic entity is called Earth. So we can now communicate with other beings in other dimensions. We need to be more sophisticated in the way we process information. Our human brain, even if there's so much information being downloaded, it is still a very primitive device. So what will be happening? And for many of you, this is kind of like, oh no, we are going to be like robots. We are going to be brainwashed. Let me tell you what 200 years ago, if you lived, somewhere in a big city and even you had the most wealth, and then somebody came to you and said, you know what, in about only some 300 years, 400 years, we'll be able to communicate on the cell phone to the other part of the world. We'll be able to do heart transplants. We'll be able to regrow tissues. You'll be like, no way. This is like from the devil. It should not be, we should not have that. So in every generation, because we are always born into certain conditions, and if you have not been sort of open to the idea of the evolution, so these thoughts of artificial brain or artificial intelligence, they're very scary to you. Well, let me tell you, in your lifetime, you may not even see these changes affecting you specifically, but in 200 years, this is the future. So when I ask you, what's the name of your great-great-great-grandmother? Most of you will not know the answer to this question. I don't know. I probably know till my great-great-grandmother. So all the other human beings in my line, I have no idea who they were and where they came from. So at some point in time, Nobody will know who you are. Nobody will know where you came from. The generations after you are here. Now that's their changes. And these changes will always be beneficial because they will not be the same humans as you are. So at some point in time, you will have the opportunity to expand the processor that you are, to expand your own brain capacity. So for many people, the artificial intelligence will be able to process enormous amount of information, versus human beings will become like waste. They will become some sort of just the product of the earth. They will have no specific evolutional value to the earth. So slowly you will observe this introduction of the new technology, especially to help us to deal with the information. The information is coming upon the earth. You can't help it. It's not up to you. It's not up to me. It's not up to anyone who is alive here today. It's just the way it is. It's coming from higher, spaces and places that are designed to move this earth to its next point, to this next evolution. You are only here for 100 years. You're here to do, whether you feel like you are the victim for your entire life or you feel like you had a great life experience. Now you're here 100 years, you are done. You're off. Where you go, I don't know where you go. I don't know where I will go after this lifetime, but the earth will continue. In order for this earth to make bigger changes and to move into other dimensions, to become angel-like. Angels communicate with us, but they're not human beings walking the earth. They're not material. They're not primitive the way that we are. They can communicate to us telepathically. They can write books. They can write whole stories. Now for us, and even they say that they're not quite evolved. They're beings who are much more evolved than them. So they can only see the projection of life that is happening. And Earth is now dealing with the situation where the elite forces are trying to keep the whole structures of the earth in place so it doesn't fall apart. This is a big management project, guys. So it's not that you are just you and your family. It's look around you. All the stores, the roads, the infrastructure, the governments, even though you may have all the reasons not to like your country or your government or everything else. Now that's all working. At least I go outside and then there's a grocery store and I see police cars in my neighborhood checking on everybody, making sure everybody's safe. So who is doing all of that? That's the structures of the world that are in place. But in order for us human beings to not to grow too fast, we can grow way too fast. That's why it's all strategically planned out. It's a slow moving process. We are now experiencing just changes that will be happening gradually. Nobody's bombarding us with all this colossal information that we cannot simply process. But in order for us to keep us in this low vibrational state, so the life on earth can be maintained and the progress is not faster than a certain frequency and certain speed, we have structures that are neutralizing forces that bring your emotional state down, that keep the humanity in fear, that keep energy at the lower frequency, so you can adjust at your own pace. And those people who are unable to adjust, they will have trouble. They will go through the experience of life with much more stress. And most of you will know, maybe it's someone in your family, maybe it is you. But in order for you to go through these changes smoothly, it's like you understand that you are here on this blue ball floating through space, and you just here for a brief period of time. The earth has existed here before you for 4.8 billion years, and it's going to be here for a billion years. long after you're gone. It's not about you. It's not about your contribution. You have your own devices to maintain yourself. And you can ask this question: am I going through these changes? Am I allowing for the earth to transition? Or am I resisting these changes? So as I said, and angels do confirm this, the artificial intelligence, that's the thing of the future. Human brain is too primitive to process the amount of information that is coming upon the earth. So we'll have to have the help of the artificial intelligence in the way that we don't even understand. We feel like it's one of those horror movies, or, you know, those. I don't want to get into conspiracies, but there are many theories on that. Angels describe this as necessary, but pretty interesting process that many people will actually find enjoying. Okay, something to enjoy, but it's still kind of, for a lot of us, it's a new thing. What's happening now, 2020 into 22? Because we have, again, this is about the earth changing its own informational storage system and processing system. So we went from 2 billion people after World War II, 1950, and it's estimated by 2100 we will have about 10 billion people. Do you have any idea what 10 billion people going to never been as many people on earth ever? As far as our history is concerned, is what we know, what we have observed. We went from, Bible tell you 2 people to 10 billion. So for the earth, it's vital to have a certain energetic frequency. Remember that earth still is a low frequency planet. So, but please understand, low frequency doesn't mean bad or incomplete in some way or damaging. It's just how it's able to process the information. So now we begin certain clearing processes, and I'm saying we because I didn't begin it, but human beings coming to earth have agreed to participate in these sorts of events. So what you have to understand, things like viral infections and epidemics, pandemics, and all that stuff. A virus is a way of clearing. Now, this is the viruses have the ability to connect to the cells of your body and clear old programs, clear old systems. That's why some people get sick, and they get sick, and some people never even have it. That's because in certain individuals, their cells, the whole body is almost like polluted with old programs, with information. Every cell holds the information, and viruses allow this internal clearing of the old programs. And if a person is sort of understanding this, and it's more in a state of openness and love and open-minded and in gratefulness. Now, these are all essential human qualities. That's the divinity in us. So then what happens is the viruses do their clearing process, and then they allow the body to heal, and then the person now begins to associate or receive new information in a very different way. So now they're ready to, it's almost like stop living by the old programs. That's why you see, why they're old people specifically concerning when it comes to viral infections, viral pandemics, because the programs that are within themselves, within the cells, are too solid. They are not And of course, listen, I have my older parent, my mom, I have my grandmother who is 95. So I'm speaking about this from the level of concern as far as I know. But I also know that viruses, if the system is too resistance to clearing, it is likely that these people will not be able to change their energy. And for a lot of people, this is the clearing. That's why, sometimes we see the news and then so many people die from this disease, and then mostly old people. And it's like what happens with every influenza. Because the nature of the virus is to clear your cells of the information that is no longer serving you, and that is preventing you from attracting, from receiving whatever is being and whatever is coming. It's that clearing process. That's why some people will get it and some people won't, depending on your own worldview, depending on your ability to perceive the world, depending on your ability to clear your thinking. So why? Now this is called energetic upgrading. And the earth initiates it as well. You have to understand that earth is an experiment. There are forces, there are structures that are trying out different ways of resolving certain situations and bringing more and more forces. So we use the most of resources within what we know and what we have. So the problems with the upgrading system is people who are critically oriented, people who always, live in the space of being a victim or always finding other people to blame, people who are just in their outlook of life, their programs of life are just negatively and critically based. So past fear-based mentality, everything that you have that's a fear-based mentality is not based on your divinity. This is just your association with the systems and low frequency vibrations that have been ruling the earth for as long as we know. So another point, by the way, when it comes to fear, you have to understand that that's how the elite structures have been able to rule this planet, to keep their sort of authority on this planet. And still, listen, if God allows all these events to happen, it means that in some not fully understandable to us human beings way, that's a necessary process. That's all we know. Otherwise, why would God allow all this thing to happen? There's no answer to this question. It is what it is. And also fear-based. And we see, again, so many people on the rising, let's just storm. And there's so much anger. And they're angry at cabal, and they're angry at all these people and these people, and they don't understand that their whole fear-based mentality is what's driving them right now, and they're serving the purposes of the fear-based, the structures that created fear in the first place. So just something to think about. Lack of energy is another way for new human beings to have again, you want to think human beings in terms of debit and credit when it comes to energy, right? You consuming energy constantly, you're taking other people's energy as a source of energy for you. There's those, energy vampires. You're not contributing love or your, action-oriented growth to this planet. What's the need? What is that need? What's the purpose of you being here? So these, again, the problems with you moving to the next level, because the people who take energy rather than contribute, that being of value, energetically presenting themselves in a way that serves humanity, that serves higher vibrational thinking, as you are, again, moving towards the new possibilities of growth and evolution. So unrealized potential, for a lot of people, unrealized potential is what they know that should have, something that should have been expressed through them. But that potential is now becomes the force that is blocking them from evolution. So let's say you knew that you had so much potential in you, and then you just don't take action consistently, one thing after another. You have an opportunity, you don't act on it. So eventually you begin to live under the weight of unrealized possibilities. And this creates the weight on you. And this makes the whole upgrading system to be more difficult. So we have a couple of times in the next 2 years that you will see this changes happening. Now we have virus. The virus is going to be moving around for the next 2 years. So what angels are saying, the growth will be happening significantly in September. So we'll have much, just very kind of strong activity happening on planet Earth, energizing and businesses, kind of new ideas, and looking at, again, not at the fluctuations, but look at the general statistics per year. So that's where we want to go. We want to go back to the end of 2020 and look at all of these events that have been happening. And you'll see that they're not just super tragic. It's like, it is part of the process, but as I said, the process is it has to be gradual. Another thing that will happen in 2020 is towards the end of the year, we'll experience another round of the virus. Okay, so I don't know when exactly, and it may not even be officiated, it may not be just put on the front pages, but it will still become, for a lot of people, the source of fear and the source of worry. Okay, so we need to start getting ready now. We need to really start thinking about these changes, because their change will be happening whether we like it or not, whether we understand it or not, whether we agree with that or not. So what we will see, again, the ruling structures of the earth will be slowly shifting. So, and they will go somewhere else, right? They will take care of other low frequency planets. There are plenty of those planets in our galaxy alone. So it's not that Earth is any particularly unique in that way, but we're here and we're dealing with the consequences of life on Earth. So what we'll also see in 21 will be sort of the year of, it's going to be a good year. So what angels are saying, the year 2021 will be the year of slowly rebuilding, shifting. And when it comes to, again, processing information, the energy that was sort of removed from the planet will be slowly energized. It will be slowly brought into the right energetic frame from which another growth can happen. So what angels want you to know is that you are watching this process with your eyes as it's happening. It's a very interesting and extraordinary time. If you stop looking at this whole world as a threat, and then somebody's out there to get you, or something is out there to wash your brain or put some chip into your brain. So if this is all you're thinking about, you're missing the whole point of your being here. Then you are being driven by all these forces that have been on this planet since the beginning of human creation. Here on Earth, they have fear-based emotions. So understand that this is hell, but you are creating your own heaven. And it's up to you whether you choose to dwell on the energies of heaven or to dive into hell with all the negative thinking and always being in a state of fear and not understanding that the divinity in you, that state of love, the state of openness, the state of creativity, the state of just your divine intelligence, that you have God, that is everything. and you were talking God. I'm talking God. You were listening God. When you talk, you were talking God. Everything you see is part of that divine plan. And we are here because there was a need. There was an option for us. Even if it's a karmic action, we still wanted to be here on earth. Maybe because just by being here 100 years, we can work through a lot of karma and then maybe just move on to some other dimension. You don't know, but you are only here for 100 years at this point if your life is the most healthiest and harmonious. So let's remember who we are and understand the changes on earth don't really depend on us, whether you like it or not. There are organizers of this reality, and they've been here way before we came. So what we do now, we are concerning ourselves with ourselves. And this is the love-based living. How do we survive? How do we move into one dimension to another with love? How do we can still experience an amazing life? Remember, heaven is our option. This is our responsibility. Nobody says, even during the war, even during the worst conditions and destructive epidemics, there is always a possibility for you to create your own heaven. And amongst the hellish conditions, your ability to create your own heaven is your greatest gift that God has given you. So you would not even be here if you just were doomed to suffer. You were doomed to be sort of killed by the virus or some cabal or other structures. You're here because this was an opportunity for you to work something out, and also for you to come and experience life that you've never done, or you wanted to do something again, something differently. You wanted to observe these changes and learn something from them. Earth is an experiment. You may be here to learn some new things and opportunities. So when you go to the place where you came from, another dimension, another planet, wherever, so you firsthand witnessed these changes. And as I said, human beings are way too limited to be able to process information that is being downloaded. So how do we deal with changes? We keep an open mind. We keep an open mind, saying yes to these changes. Yes, they're happening. I'm excited to see what's happening. Having an open heart. And this is an open heart. The problem with a lot of people is that close-heartedness is a self-preservation. It's trying to close ourselves to the whole experience that life has in store for me. And what we're doing, we close ourselves into our old programs, into our old, everything that was built before you is imprinted into your cell. And having your heart open, heart energy is this powerful center, universal intelligence. When you open up to the universe, you are opening up to the progress. You're opening up to the possibilities. When you smile, when you embrace life as it's unfolding, knowing that one day you will die, whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, this is inevitable. None of us are going to stay here on earth. And while you are here, you're going to do your best to be in your own heaven. And every day you can choose, amongst all of this stuff that's happening, that you still have full control of your own environment, of your own life, and have a heart that is forgiven, that is open, and unity consciousness versus division. What you need to know about the elite structures, that it's all about division. It's always about separating, compartmentalizing, compartmentizing. It's always putting things into smaller containers. This is the race. This is the gender. This is the religion, right? The devil and God, and this everything that is divisive. I'm a vegetarian. I'm vegan. I'm this and I'm that. That's all part of that elite structure. It's all part of the division. So the whole concept of God as we know it, that was just created. It's manufactured idea that was sold to the humanity. And humanity is waking up to this. because now they have information other than what they had. So now information that used to come to people from churches is coming from other sources. No one's going to be brainwashed anymore. No one's going to take this information just for the face value. We all going to have the grain of salt in all this. Even whatever I'm saying to you, you will have your own decisions about it. So we also have the faster processing monitoring, the faster processing body as we are going to move into high frequencies 2020. So again, we are almost over with this pandemic. With this wave, another one will be at the end of the year. So for many of us, we will not be affected as much. And 2020 is going to be the year of clearing, my friends. And clearing will be happening on the level of health, on the level of just people having been vibrationally attuned to the idea of growth, to the idea of expansion. You will see again information coming to Earth, moving with that progress, leaving things behind, being willing to let go of things, holding on to the old programs, going into the dogma, Jesus gonna save me, and all of that stuff. So for you, being letting go of the old and now moving into the new as new consciousness. You are the new consciousness, the unity consciousness, right? Understanding this, you are the part of your being here is to live in hell, to choose to live in hell or to create your own heaven, and experimenting with new things. Now, what they're saying is 2022 is the year of clearing. So we haven't really done the clearing, but the upper year will be of that. And I asked, what do we need to know? How do we prepare for this? And they were just saying, be in the state of love. Love is going to release the past. You're not holding on to the past, right? You are okay with things as they are. And then invite newness. Be okay with the progress. Be okay. It doesn't mean that you have to go and vaccinate yourself, right? So you have to think, of course, if it's driven by fear or if it's driven by love. If everything in your life is driven by fear, ask yourself this question. You are not moving forward, you are moving backwards. You are not creating harmony and heaven if you're driven by fear. I need to vaccinate myself so I don't get sick. Fear-based, what you want to do again, go from a place into love, into understanding that you are in full control in the way that you feel, and maintain yourself in a state of openness, unity consciousness, avoiding critical judgments on people, even your relatives, moving away from people who are very opinionated and people who are close-minded, if you can. And of course, this will allow you to process information faster. So there will be no need for you to have a viral information, clearing. You will have no need for you to experience sadness or anything else. You will be enjoying this process as you are moving. And people who have these issues, they will have more problems as this clearing is happening. So that's it. In 2020, we just almost began this process. 2022, it's almost like going to be a completion of a certain phase, as angels are saying, then another one, 2030, and we are just gradually moving towards the growth. By 2020 to by 2050, the world you are living in is going to be very different where you are today. And we have a choice today to really embrace the future and to wish this earth, this beautiful planet, and finding love within ourselves, understanding that how amazing that you're still here, that you were created by the earth, by this magical energy, by understand that the earth is your mother. Without earth, there would be no possibility for you to be here. And the consciousness, this is you and God, this is the earth and God together as this unique creation that is you. So are you here to create your heaven? And you can live in your own heaven regardless of what's happening in the world. You can still live in your own heaven. You can still experience the best of that life has in store for you. And earth will always protect you. The earth will give you the energy when you need it. But it's your openness, it's your willingness, it's your gratefulness, it's your love. Are you loving? Are you moving towards the unity? Or you are saying, you know, these Chinese people, and now we have all these people. So are we having now the community of people, just people, without boundaries, without everybody else? And now as we are, again, more and more people coming into Earth, so the upgraded human beings, people who are able to consciously process the information, to act upon it, so we can move into the times when we use the dark energy for our lives, so we can communicate with other galaxies and species. Most of us will see it in our lifetime, hopefully, Marty. Okay, my friends, that's it. I want to do, time is it? So I want to do a practice with you, and this is going to help you to stay in balance. Now, this is going to bring you into harmonious state wherever you are. And you can do this practice later. Just again, visualize it. We're now connected energetically with one another. So let's do this practice for about 2-3 minutes, but it's very powerful. So what we're going to do is imagine our planet Earth. So take a few deep breaths just to release, and you can even shake your body as you're listening to me. As all this information is still in your head, just shake it off, shake off your head, and then allow this information to just distribute more evenly into your body. Yeah, so take a few deep breaths, and in front of you, just to visualize the Earth, the beautiful home planet for us in this lifetime. So we have this loving presence and giving love, so much love to our planet, to our mother, to our beautiful, loving planet Earth. And now, for all women on this webinar, even though you're not physically present, energetically you are present. Here's what you should do. Again, if you can just spend a moment to pay attention. So with your pinkies, with your baby fingers, visualize in your mind's eye holding the baby finger of another woman on this webinar. It doesn't have to be someone specific. You don't even have to know the name. You don't even have to know anything. Just close your eyes and visualize by your right side and by your left side. So all women are forming now the inner circle. So you are, as a woman, in the inner circle, just facing the earth. And you are holding, you having this grip of your baby finger, holding another woman by your side with your baby finger. And she does the same to you. So you have this magical connection. So as you know that the pinky finger is your heart meridian. So we are just strongly connecting with the heart center by doing this practice. You can even just have it like this and then have your hands down with your eyes closed. Just simply visualize holding hands of other women on this webinar, forming the inner circle. Okay? And you can, this is a virtual experience. It doesn't have to be perfect. And as I said, pinky fingers, this is your heart meridian. We are opening the heart center. So for all women, holding hands, forming the inner circle, you visualize the earth within you and holding other women by the pinky fingers. All right, now the same thing for all men on this webinar. You can close your eyes and visualize yourself holding hands with all men on this webinar, just one by your side, by your left side, one by your right side, and all men are forming the outer circle. And you're using your pinkies to hold other people's. All right? Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So all men forming the outer circle, holding pinky fingers of men on your right and on your left. Women are in an inner circle. And in the center, we have a beautiful planet Earth. So what we are going to do now, all women, in your mind's eye, begin to move as a group, as a circle, in a counterclockwise motion. So to the left, slowly walking in your mind's eye, moving in a counterclockwise motion around the earth. Okay? So this circle is a moving circle and you're moving with it, still holding other people's fingers. Men, all men, you are in the outer circle. Now move the opposite way. You are moving clockwise to the right. Just imagine yourself walking this in the circle, holding other men's hands, under other men's baby fingers. Move towards the right. So we have the inner circle moving in the left, counterclockwise, and all men moving in a clockwise direction. So once you set that motion, continue walking, saying the words, loving earth, 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 loving earth. So keep on walking and chanting, loving earth, loving earth. Now in your mind's eye or out loud, however you want. So let's continue moving and chanting, loving earth together. Loving earth, 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 now stop. Let go of your hands. And then place your hands at your heart. Take few deep breaths. And all women wish love, happiness, and well-being to all women on this webinar. And all women wish happiness, well-being to all men in this webinar. And all women send love, happiness, and well-being to the earth. Love, there's nothing but love. Now all men send love, happiness, and well-being to all men on this webinar. Now all men send happiness, love, and well-being to all women on this webinar. And for all men, send love, happiness, and well-being to Mother Earth. There's love, and there's nothing else but love. Now take a few deep breaths. And now open your eyes gently and slowly. Bring your awareness back. Okay, my friends. This is the end of this webinar. And I want to thank you for your time, for taking your time to connect. So now I want to spend the rest of the time that we have, about 20 minutes, to answer some of your questions. So let's do this. If there's anything that you want to know, let me know in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer it based on the information that I know from angels. Okay, that's just me. I'm not channeling. It's all the packed information that I've received. See if I can help you understand. All right. See, Karina. Was a child, felt so connected to God. However, as I got older, that connection got lost less and less. What happened? If you can still feel that connection again? It's a really good question. When you were born, imagine you're just a clean sheet of paper. You are pure and you are open. You are an open book. And you don't have the old programs as an adult, right? As you were going through life, much different information came through old programs, everything that you've learned through your parents, through your educational facilities, everywhere you've been, you have been programmed one way or another. So imagine now you are this computer with all these apps installed. And now, of course, if there's any process, it takes forever. It takes longer. It takes just because you have to go through so much of memory. Now, as a child, you are an open book. You have no conditioning yet until age of 7, 6 or 7. So you're pretty much an open book, and you are connected to the divinity as it's natural for you. Once you begin to experience life here, you can't help it. This information comes in. So you go to a place of meditation. And meditation is where you are connected to God. You don't think, you don't work your own programs. And essentially, the more time, silence is that your own connection with God, so to say. And in silence, you begin to experience more and more peacefulness, more and more connectedness with your own divinity. You begin to pay less and less attention to the drama that is happening. You begin to feel more internally. You begin to listen to yourself more. And this, my friend, is the best possibility. Okay, let's see. So, guys, I want to take a moment to talk about the earth. I'd love to hear all your stories and everything that you have been going through. Let's just focus again, keep the information coming within the parameters and information of this webinar. So every question you have, what's been happening in your life and how the earth changes have been affecting you. So let's keep the information flowing in the theme of this webinar. Would be very helpful. So let's see. So let me see again. I want to bring as many questions regarding the webinar content as possible, so you guys understand. Okay. So Josie didn't mention anything about year 2021. I did. What will happen in 2021 is going to be a year of restructuring. There's not going to be much happening in the sense that there are going to be no major events such as coronavirus or anything else. It's almost like 21 is a regulating year. So 2021 is a time for us to use all of the information, all of the effects of 2020 and apply them for the years to come. It's almost like readjusting. Who's sending forth the viruses for clearing? So it depends on your worldview. So if you believe that the viruses are just human creation, they possibly are. And for those people who believe that Mother Earth is creating, everything you know is created on Earth. So viruses it's possible that epidemics and viral infections in general are just systems set in place. When things go out of order, there are certain programs in place. In order for this to happen, it could be a disaster, it could be viral infection, it could be anything else based on the state of the world, whatever is necessary. So I don't believe there's somebody is always like, what are we going to do today? We're going to have like, how do we use this mass destruction? So we just, create a virus or maybe like atomic bomb or anything else. For most times, this is an automatic process of clearing whatever is necessary. If you need to vacuum your floor, you just vacuum. If it gets too dirty, maybe you need to get a mop and then clean your space. In some cases, you may need to call on the cleaners and then have some major cleaning happening. So it depends on the situations, on where you are, and also state of the world. Okay, so if you have a family member who is caught up in fear, you have to understand that you can't help other people, my friends. As much as I love you and I love my mom and I love my grandmother, when somebody is in a state of fear and you're thinking of them, that's not the right focus. Maybe you being more aligned with yourself and feeling good, creating your own heaven, feeling healthy and feeling good, this may influence your mother. There's no word you can say for her to stop fear. This is a program that is running in her consciousness. So think for yourself and align yourself with the upcoming frequencies, just feeling good. Remember, we talked about it, being more open-hearted, open-minded, unity consciousness, and all of that. Righty. Are frequencies different or the same as vibrations? If yes, how do we raise our frequency and vibration that are of benefits of doing so? So a frequency, a vibration is movement, right? So frequency is a state. Now, what you can do is to raise your frequency. It's not that you know, there's an operational system in you that says, okay, we have to be upgraded. We have to go from frequency A to frequency B. The earth is constantly shifting, constantly. And this is a movement that goes, as I mentioned, in spiral. So we are constantly moving through frequencies. Even right now as we speak, we are moving through frequencies. You were born at a certain frequency. And because there is a constant movement and the earth is moving and you're moving within your reality, within your time frame, and you're moving through shifting frequencies, your body grows, your body changes. Now this change is happening all the time. What we're saying now, when the earth is also changing its frequency, it's like having this body and having this body and then moving and then growing and having these organs maturing, and then these structures now becoming obsolete and unnecessary. So this is the frequency of future and a frequency of growth, the frequency that allows you to receive more information as it's being downloaded upon the earth. So now you have more information, you have access to more information, and as a source of creation, you can create various different things on earth and again contribute to its evolution. All right, so this is the vibrational state. It's the state of openness and the state of creation, and the state, that's how you're moving without resistance to the next, and then the next, and then the next, and again the next. It's going from, you know, whatever, Homo erectus to Homo sapiens. How many tries did this happen? But it's also constantly increasing the frequency and then changing. That's where changes begin to happen. New information comes in, new resources coming in, and so on. Is the artificial intelligence meant to infringe on personal rights? In the first 20 maybe years, it will feel to us that it's an invasion. It's an artificial substance that is threatening our whole existence. It's not something that we can understand at this point in time. And probably in your time, in my time, we will still live under the impression that artificial intelligence will make robots out of us. For human beings, for the future human beings, they cannot survive without artificial intelligence. They will not be able to survive on this planet. With new changes and information that is coming through, remember, it's just a brain that is able to process information so much faster. So much faster. We're thinking that we have personal rights. Really, you know, we're here 100 years. We feel like we have the rights, we have all of these structures put in place, and then so on and so forth. We may rebel against these. We may not agree with all these changes. We may feel scared and so on. But if you look at the nature of progress on this planet, since the beginning of time, the progress happens, whether people believe it or not, whether people agree with this or not, whether their rights have been considered or not. Now, this is kind of what has been happening to this planet. And what we can do, again, right now as human species witnessing these changes, is not to have the mind that is open to change. At the same time, it's not threatened by the change. This is the hardest thing for us to do, is not to be threatened by these changes. So let's go and now burn all the 5G towers everywhere. So this is definitely the old mind and thinking that is not going to move you towards evolution. No matter how much you want these 5G things to be, you just want to live in the previous world, in the world that doesn't exist anymore. The world is now going to be moving towards 5G and 10G more than you think. I take the street ride, and then in my car, and then I just dial in, and then there's all these radio stations, and all these frequencies are everywhere, and there are millions of them. There are millions. I just don't understand them. I don't feel them. I don't tune into them unless I have a transmitter. But I may not agree with all of them. I may think, well, they've been doing something to my brain. But we already have all of this happening. We've been living under these conditions for like at least, 30, well, no, let's say 100 years now. Right? You may not agree with you being watched, but has this happened to you when you did an internet search, and then 2 minutes later you already have an ad for that thing? Just like, how'd you know? I mean, I just looked at it. It may be from your phone, but then you start seeing things on your computer. Well, that's the world you're living. So you have to understand that the certain things are just beyond your control, and you can resist, you can scream at them, you can say, well, this is not the world I want to live in. And yes, you're right. This is not the world you want to live in. This is not heaven. And in other dimensions, from what I know, they all say, there's a loving energy. I was just listening to Abraham this morning, the interview between Esther Hicks and Wayne Dyer. And Wayne Dyer asks Esther, he asks Abraham, so what is it like on the other side? Is this just love on the other side? And Abraham replies, love, 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 love. There's nothing else but love. So this is, again, the conditions of our lives at this moment. But we always have to turn this into something of value for ourselves. Every single person here still have the ability to attract abundance, to have beautiful relationships, to have their health, to have all of the prosperity. Nobody's out there is interested in your not existence. The world as we know it right now is very much supportive of human life. We have healthcare. We have food, more food that we can eat. We have all of the resources, even in times of pandemic. Is nothing compared to the swine flu, the Spanish flu of 1918. Nothing. We have so much cleaner conditions. We have vitamins. We have all this stuff. Now, why would somebody bother creating this massive mass destruction plan? What for? Is it helping the planet? Is this helping this humanity? You have your own heaven or your own hell. Most people on this earth in their lifetime, they're still super lucky to have what they have, to have an ability to experience love for the partner, love for the earth, love for the child, like love for everything. Now, this is the greatest gift that we have. We can only experience it on earth. We can understand it. We can really feel, oh, this is the absence of love. That's how it feels like. And this is the presence of love. So for a lot of you guys, this is the place where you begin to question. And it always comes down to your own place in this world. If you're happy, this planet is happy. That's it. Okay. So, okay, elaborate on the fifth dimension. Not in this webinar. Okay, my friends, I hope you understand. It's a whole topic. I already loaded you with a lot of stuff. I'll do another webinar about fifth dimension. Angels know a lot about fifth dimension. Okay? All right, you guys. Mother Earth, evolution. How soon? Okay, there's another question. I'm voluntarily or because of karma? I don't know. It doesn't matter. You're here, so you just make the best out of your time on this planet. So Josie, are you going to ascend? Are we going to ascend soon? We're already ascending. As I said, 2020 to 2050, that's just a massive transformation, and we will be living in the world that we have no idea. A frequency is difference. Okay, I think I answered this question. All right, you guys, I won't be giving any personal messages to you. All the messages to you is just to be in the vibration of love. That's what angels really want you to do. How do we prepare? Just stay in the vibration. Keep the progress going. So this is how you can prepare. All right, you guys. Susita, yes. Recently, got information in a dream. So I want to mention something for you guys. Many of you right now, as you're going through these changes, will be experiencing dreams like crazy. During dreams, you get downloads of information. Okay? So how do we prepare for the earth? This is the process. Okay, my friends, it's nothing sophisticated. It's your own state. That's it. It's about open mind, because when you're open, you have to understand, when you're open, it means that your immune system is working fine. You are not controlled by the negative programs of your childhood, of your life, or whatever you've experienced up to this point. You're not controlled by that. If you feel good, if you are accepting life, it means you're opening up to the future. Whatever future has in store for you, you have this possibility. So in the fall of 2020 until January 21, we're going to experience COVID, yes, likely, or it could be another virus of that sort, yes. Yes, so that's going to be clearing. So 2020, the first wave is done. Another wave is going to be spring, in the late fall, I would say, early winter, and it's going to be another round of the viral clearing. So for many of you, you already have less fear, so less worry about the coronavirus or anything else. So for a lot of you on the immune level, you're not going to be affected by these changes. Many people just controlled by the fear, their immune system just went down, and that's why we have this massive pandemic. What if vaccines be one of the regulations of travel? Would we advise by the angels to take it? That's a really good question. Now, I have to tell you, I'm not 100% certain about vaccines. Everything that I read, and I'm not just against these vaccines. Personally, I don't vaccinate my kids. I vaccinated them for the childhood diseases and everything else. The most recent ones, I would advise them against them for many reasons that I know medically as a human being and as a healthcare professional myself. I just, many things that are happening, I believe, are just unnecessary. It's my own opinion. In any way, I don't advise this. Now, angels, what they want you to know is somehow you always have a choice. For if you are resistant to change, you will be affected. Please understand that you're creating so much resistance. If you just want the world to be the same, everything will be affecting you. The change in frequencies, the 5G technology, everything else will be affecting you. Whether you understand on the vaccines, everything else will be like some sort of malfunction or dysfunctional. And this is the nature of life. It's the thought process that is attracting you. For people who I really don't care. I really don't care. I just live here. I enjoy it. I do my own, business here. I take care of myself, take care of my family, take care of my people. I love this earth. I love the energy. I am, I love people. I'm open, I'm grateful. I'm having so much capacity for love within myself, and I'm using it, these people will not be affected. They will not be, there's no need for them to be affected. They will have something is in and out. And even if there are anything mandatory, they will not be traumatized by these changes. So I cannot tell you about vaccines and to do them or not to do them. But what I do know, for people who are very restricted in their thinking, they will be affected the most. And they're doing this to themselves. So we are now building, remember, virus it's not a bad thing. It can kill you, but it's fundamentally the process of clearing itself is when all of that stuff that is of negative nature is coming out. It's the clearing, when you're just like, when you're not feeling yourself. Now this is all the toxins and all of this waste and energetic garbage is being disposed out of you. So once the infection, you gain your strength, you feel better, you feel lighter. Now you're ready for the new. So people who are very conservative and dogmatic and everything else, it's me versus them. It's my world versus your world. These people are out there to get me. They are, these people are negative. They're positive. They're missing on the whole thing of life. They're missing on the whole point of why we're here, why we come, and what's the reason why we're here. So, my friends, remember this. You are the divinity, a part of the divine plan. And this is not an easy assignment, but you're here so you can create your own heaven. Okay. Let's see if I can. Is everything included population is created by Earth? So what angels have told me, and I just have to move through the questions faster. Organic food versus other type of food. I don't know if you'll be interested to know, but recently I had a conversation about, and again, we had about World War II. Yeah, I have these conversations with angels. And the conversation was about Hitler and was about his energy and what was that particularly interesting person. Was very creative, was very at a really high potential. And if he was the world leader, he would have been a magnificent organizer of like universal proportions, but he went with like the minus. He just went this way instead of going this way. But he was a vegetarian. He was very strict vegetarian, no meat. And he used to scream at his generals, at the dinner time, where he would see them eating meat. He had a problem with that. So you are, again, I think in this whole notion of the World War II and the totalities of people dying in the World War II, for him, it was just like bizarre to eat meat. For him, it was like, I must be doing this for the good reason. So whatever the hell was going on through his own mind. So what you can do, but what you see was the dogmatic, constricted thinking, a German, a superior race, or this and that, vegan. There's the whole structure of the divisions. It's me versus them. It's you, I'm good, you're bad, all of that stuff. So the reason, I don't know why I'm saying this to you about organic food, but maybe because the vegetarian part of it. So means organic doesn't always mean it's a higher vibrational food. If you are drawn to eat organic, it means that in your reality, you are softening, you are making your life in a way cleaner, and this is respecting your needs and your own desires. For people who do not eat organic and they have no health issues or anything else, it's not a problem at all. So I would say, if you have a choice to eat organic, and absolutely you have the funds and the means to do that, cleaner the better. At the same time, you also have to get out of the limited thinking that only organic is good. Every now and then, have something junk, have something that's a GMO all the way through, because what you are doing, you are not putting yourself into this closed-mindedness and dogmatic thinking. And this will help you to move through these changes, because that dogmatic, it's me versus them, that's the problem. It's not the food itself, it's the thinking behind the food or actions that make you that restrict you. Okay. All right, you guys. We stay in high vibration. No, we can't stay in high vibration. We are always bouncing between lower and higher. Remember, this is a constant movement. So to the beginning, if you want to watch this from the beginning and how we all started, that the earth is a low frequency vibration. So too much high frequency will disrupt life on this planet. All life will die. All nature will die. It just cannot survive higher vibrational state. We already have 95% extinction of species, as I was mentioning in the beginning. All right, you guys. That's it. That's it. Probably should end this webinar here now. And thank you for all of your wonderful, thoughtful questions. And I'm just trying to, there's just too many questions, and I'm trying to answer the ones who are more or less related to the topic of this webinar. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be well and blessed. And hope this was of service to you. You will receive a copy of this webinar. Share it with your friends or whoever needs this information. And you can, of course, listen to this one more time. Hope this was helpful. And remember, they can always have your own conversations with your angels. All right, you guys. Have the most amazing Thursday. I will chat with you soon.